Welcome back to reading the first book of Enoch. This must be the last one I read today because it's a lot of chapters. This book has a lot of chapters. Let me see if I can see right here. 108 chapters. It's a lot of information. So I'm gonna take it easy. I'm reading this portion because it lines up with the first chapters in Genesis, which I just read today also. So maybe you're curious and it helps you, and if not, don't even worry about this book. Read the actual Bible. It's sufficient. But if you're curious, as a literary work of art, this is interesting too. So Enoch chapter 23. From there I went to another place, to the west of the ends of the earth. And I saw a burning fire which ran without resting, like lava, and paused not from its course day or night, but ran regularly. And I asked, saying, What is this which rests not? Then Raguel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered me and said unto me, This course of fire which you have seen is the fire in the west which persecutes all the luminaries of heaven. And that was chapter 23. And here it says Raguel is one of the holy angels who takes vengeance on the world of the luminaries. Okay, chapter 24. And from there I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain range of fire which burnt day and night. And I went beyond it and saw 7 magnificent mountains, all differing each from the other, and the stones thereof were magnificent and beautiful, magnificent as a whole, of glorious appearance and fair exterior, 3 toward the east, 1 founded on the other, and 3 towards the south, one upon the other. And deep rough ravines, no one of which joined with one another. And the 7th mountain was in the midst of these, and it excelled them in height, resembling the seat of a throne, and fragrant trees encircled the throne. And among them was a tree such as I had never yet smelled, neither was any among them, nor were others like it. It had a fragrance beyond all fragrance, and its leaves and blooms and wood wither not forever. And its fruit is beautiful, and its fruit resembles the dates of a palm. Then I said, How beautiful is this tree, and fragrant, and its leaves are fair, and its blooms very delightful in appearance. Then answered Michael, one of the holy and honored angels who was with me, and was their leader. And we'll see what Michael says, but that was chapter 24. So he sees a range of mountain and of fire which burnt day and night. And he looked beyond that mountain, fiery mountain, and he saw 7 magnificent mountains that were unique and beautiful, 3 towards the east, 3 towards the south, and 1 in the middle. And we keep saying east and south, and then he saw a fire towards the west of the earth, which burned and ran without stopping. So here we have Michael, which is one of the holy angels, to wit, he set over the best part of mankind and over chaos. Okay, so if it's the best, Michael is in it. So we have these beautiful mountains. So if I think about the earth, I don't know if the orientation is right. Would Europe truly be north of Africa then? What if they have a different orientation? I don't know. They usually say Israel is somewhere at the center of the earth, one way or another. But towards the east we have 3 mountains, towards the south we have 3 mountains, and then in the middle there is 1. that is the most magnificent of all, with this magnificent tree that Enoch really wants to learn about, and he's still dreaming. This is still a dream, still a vision. Okay, so Michael is about to tell Enoch what this tree is. So chapter 25, and he said unto me, Enoch, why do you ask me regarding the fragrance of the tree, and why do you wish to learn the truth? Of course, I mean, anybody would want to ask that. Then I answered him, saying, I wish to know about everything, but especially about this tree. And he answered, saying, This high mountain which you have seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is his throne, where the Holy Great One, the Lord of glory, the eternal King, will sit when he will come down to visit the earth with goodness. And as for this fragrant tree, no mortal is permitted to touch it until the great judgment, when he will take vengeance on all and bring everything to its consummation forever, and will then be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit will be for food to the elect. It will be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of the Lord, the eternal King. Then will they rejoice with joy and be glad, and into the holy place will they enter. And its fragrance will be in their bones, and they will live a long life on earth, such as your fathers lived. And in their days will no sorrow or plague or torment or calamity touch them. Then I bless the God of glory, the eternal King, who has prepared such things for the righteous, and has created them and promised to give to them. Okay, now that was a lot of information. That was chapter 25. So, hold up. Michael talks with Enoch in his dream about the tree. So this whole chapter is about this tree. Okay, so he says this mountain, that is the seventh mountain in the middle between the east and the south, is the throne of God on earth. Okay, and God will sit on this mountain, his throne, when he visits the earth, when he will come down from up, down. And this fragrant tree will not be touched until the judgment day by any human that's mortal. So the fruit of this beautiful fragrant tree will be food for the chosen people of God, the believers, the Christians who are truly saved. So it says that it will actually be transplanted. It will not sit on that mountain forever. After the judgment, when it's given to be food for the righteous and holy people of God, it will be pulled out and it will be brought to the holy place, to the temple of God. So when people enter the holy place, the tree will be there in the temple. Okay. It says people will once again live a long life on earth, such as their fathers lived, like Adam and such, who lived almost 1,000 years. So it says God has prepared such things for the righteous. He created and promised to give them. And this was still at the beginning of the earth. But they are created for the end. So God is aware of everything that happens on the timeline, beginning to end, and he has prepared everything beginning to end. Whatever he has in mind, whatever his part is, he has done it already. That's why it says this book is written for the elect and the righteous, for the end of the world, and for those who will be living the day of tribulation and the day of judgment at the end. Okay, so then we move on to more places, and that is chapter 26. And I went from there to the middle of the earth, and I saw a blessed place in which there were trees with branches abiding and blooming of a dismembered tree, And there I saw a holy mountain. There's always a mountain. And underneath the mountain, to the east, there's always the east, there was a stream, and it flowed towards the south. There's always the south. Okay. The middle of the earth, a blessed place with trees that were blooming, a holy mountain. Underneath the mountain, to the east, there was a stream, and it flowed towards the south. Okay. And I saw towards the east another mountain higher than this mountain, and between them a deep and narrow ravine. In it also ran a stream underneath the mountain. And to the west thereof there was another mountain, so we have 3 mountains now, lower than the former, and of small elevation, and a ravine deep and dry between them. And another deep and dry ravine was at the extremities of the 3 mountains. Okay. And all the ravines were deep and narrow, being formed of hard rock, and trees were not planted upon them. And I marveled at the rocks, and I marveled at the ravine. I marveled very much. Okay, so the middle of the earth, 3 mountains, one taller than the other, one dry ravine, one wet ravine. Okay. No trees, hard rock. Cool. Chapter 27, and he's still dreaming right now. Then I said, for what object is this blessed land which is entirely filled with trees, and this accursed valley between them? Then Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said, and this is a clue, because Uriel is responsible over the world and over Tartarus, which is the deep abyss. Okay. So Uriel answered me, this cursed valley is for those who are cursed forever. Here will all the cursed be gathered together, who utter with their lips against the Lord unseemly words, and of his glory speak hard things. Here will they be gathered together, and here will be their place of judgment. So people who speak against God, who speak horrible things against God, will gather and be living in that cursed valley forever. In the last days there will be upon them the spectacle of righteous judgment in the presence of the righteous forever. Here will the merciful bless the Lord of glory, the eternal King. In the days of judgment over the former, they will bless him for the mercy in accordance with which he has assigned them their lot. Then I blessed the Lord of glory, and set out his glory, and lauded him gloriously. So praise God, and worship him, and give him glory, because he deserves it. He is worthy. Chapter 28. We have a few small chapters ahead. Chapter 28. And then I went towards the east, into the midst of the mountain range of the desert, and I saw a wilderness, and it was solitary, full of trees and plants, and water gushed out from above, rushing like a copious watercourse which flowed towards the northwest. It caused clouds and dew to ascend on every side. Beautiful description. That was chapter 29. It's getting dark outside, so it's kind of dark in here too. So I went towards the east, into the midst of the mountain range of the desert, wilderness. It was solitary. There were trees and plants. It was full of it. Water gushed out from above, I assume from the mountain. Rivers coming down. That's beautiful. Rivers in the mountains, they're beautiful. Some of the best rivers ever. Clear, beautiful water bubbling. And this water ran towards the northwest. It caused clouds and dew to ascend on every side. That's beautiful. Chapter 29. And then I went to another place in the desert, once again desert, and approached to the east of this mountain range. And there I saw aromatic, fragrant trees, exhaling the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh. and the trees also were similar to the almond tree. Chapter 30. And beyond these I went afar to the east, and I saw another place, a valley full of water, and therein there was a tree, the color of fragrant trees such as damastic. And on the sides of those valleys I saw fragrant cinnamon, and beyond these I proceeded to the east. This dream is like a beautiful trip, apart from the scary stuff, but that's also fascinating. Beautiful little trees and mountains and rivers. Chapter 31. And I saw other mountains, and among them were groves of trees, and there flowed out from them nectar, which is called Sarara and Galbanum. And beyond these mountains I saw another mountain to the east of the ends of the earth, on which were aloe trees, and all the trees were full of stacked, being like almond trees. And when one burnt it, it smelled sweeter than any fragrant odor. Aloe trees, another mountains to the east of the ends of the earth, which had aloe trees. I don't know. Chapter 32. And after these fragrant odors, as I looked towards the north over the mountains, I saw 7 mountains full of choice nard and fragrant trees and cinnamon and pepper. And then I went over the summits of all these mountains, far towards the east of the earth, and passed above the Erythraean Sea, and went far from it and passed over the angel Zotiel. And I came to the garden of righteousness, and saw beyond those trees many large trees growing there, and of goodly fragrance, large, very beautiful and glorious, and the tree of wisdom, whereof they eat, and know great wisdom. That tree is in height like the fir, and its leaves are like those of the carob tree, and its fruit is like the clusters of the vine, very beautiful, and the fragrance of the tree penetrates afar. Then I said, how beautiful is the tree, and how attractive is its look. Then Raphael, the holy angel, who was with me, answered me and said, this is the tree of wisdom, of which your father, old in years, and your aged mother, who were before you, have eaten, and they learned wisdom, and their eyes were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they were driven out of the garden. Okay, so this is chapter 32, and it describes the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So it's called the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the Bible, which is the tree of moral conscience. Yeah, and here they call it the tree of great wisdom, but the way they describe it says it's a tall tree, it smells good, it's large, and it says in height is like the fir, the leaves are like that of the carob tree, the fruit is like the clusters of the vine, so like grapes, it's very beautiful, the smell, the aroma goes far away, far, you can smell it from a distance, and it's beautiful and it's attractive. So this is in the garden of righteousness. Perhaps this is another name for the Garden of Eden. But here in the book of Enoch it says, I went over the summits of all these mountains, far towards the east of the earth, and passed above the Erythraean Sea. And went far past from it, and landed in the garden of righteousness, saw this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So this sea, I have some notes here, but I don't know if this is correct, is cornered by Africa, Arabia, and India. The Erythraean Sea, cornered, it's between Africa, Arabia, and India. And somewhere in there we find this tree of knowledge of good and evil. which if you ever encounter that and ate from it, to make no difference because we already experienced its effects. So, you know what I mean? Same business, no difference. But yeah, I don't know if you are able to encounter this anymore, if we have access to it. I don't think we have access to it because it said it was guarded. I wonder what happened to the tree of life. So chapter 33, he goes even more. So we have just a few chapters and then we move to the next section, which I will now read today. But chapter 33, 34, 35, 36, I will read, and they're short. So chapter 33 says, Enoch says, and from there I went to the ends of the earth and saw there great beasts, and each differed from the other. And I saw birds also differing in appearance and beauty and voice, the one differing from the other. And to the east of those beasts I saw the ends of the earth, and on which the heaven rests, and the portals of the heaven open. And I saw how the stars of heaven come out, and I counted the portals out of which they proceed, and wrote down all their outlets of each individual star by itself, according to their number and their names, their courses and their positions, and their times and their months, as Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, showed me. He showed all things to me and wrote them down for me, also their names he wrote for me, and their laws and their companies. So stars have names, it says. Chapter 34, and from there I went towards the north to the ends of the earth, and there I saw a great and glorious device at the ends of the whole earth. And here I saw 3 portals of heaven open in the heaven. Through each of them proceed north winds. When they blow, there is cold, hail, frost, snow, dew, and rain. And out of one portal they blow for good, but when they blow through the other 2 portals, it is with violence and affliction on the earth, and they blow with violence. Chapter 35, and from there I went towards the west to the ends of the earth, and saw there 3 portals of the heaven open, such as I had seen in the east, the same number of portals and the same number of outlets, so symmetric east to west. They communicate, they pass through those gates, I guess, in his dream. Chapter 36, and from there I went to the south, to the ends of the earth, and saw there 3 open portals of the heaven. And then there came dew, rain, and wind. And from there I went to the east, to the ends of the heaven, and saw here the 3 eastern portals of heaven open, and small portals above them. Through each of these small portals passed the stars of heaven, and round their course to the west on the path which is shown to them. And as often as I saw, I blessed always the Lord of glory, and I continue to bless the Lord of glory, who has wrought great and glorious wonders, to show the greatness of his work to the angels and to spirits and to men, that they might praise his work and all his creation, that they might see the work of his might and praise the great work of his hands and bless him forever. Okay, and that was chapter 36, and this ends section 1, which was the book of the Watchers. So then next we will move in section 2, which is the book of parables of Enoch, but that is not going to happen today. That's it.